Of the 40 of us that came from my flying school class to the 100th Bomb Group, which became known as the Bloody Hundredth because of our horrendous losses, some of which were attributable to the fact that we were being thrown into combat totally unprepared, was that 4 of us out of the 40 actually lived to complete a tour, combat tour of 25 missions at that time. It eventually was raised to ultimately to 30 and then 35 and eventually 50 by the end of the war. But our chances of survival were something that we couldn't contemplate or allow ourselves to be too concerned about, because if you did, you'd probably crack up and not be able to do the job that you were sent to do. But we soon discovered that we didn't have one enemy, but we had 4. First were the fighters, who were very experienced. And the second was our fear. We were literally scared to death because we didn't know what we were going to be confronted with. The third was the flak. Their anti-aircraft defenses were highly developed, and so in numbers that they were very effective. Half of our losses out of daylight, high-altitude bombing were due to flak. But the last and probably the most important one was freezing. We were flying at 25 to 29,000 feet in unpressurized, heavy 4-engine aircraft. Temperatures of minus 50 to 60 degrees below zero. And that so seriously impacted our ability to function that it was amazing. As a matter of fact, if you removed your glove at that altitude, your fingers could self-amputate to the knuckles. You wouldn't see any pain or feel any pain or see any blood or have any sensation at all. You just see your fingers lying on the floor. But ironically, in the heat of battle, when all hell was breaking loose, some fighters are coming in, the flak is coming up, and you can hear it hitting on the fuselage, and you see your friends going down in flames. And you suddenly are discovering you're perspiring profusely. And that perspiration freezes instantly. And what it did was it blocked our oxygen flow, which we had to have above 10,000 feet or we couldn't exist. So you ended up cracking up ice with one hand and flying the airplane with the other. But I frequently get asked, well, having that experience and getting back and knowing that you had to get back in that airplane the next day and go do the same thing. And sadly enough, our bombing accuracy was very minimal. We didn't come within 9 miles of the target 25% of the time, which meant we had to go back day after the same targets. And of course, they were much better defended when we did that. So those were the kind of things that the series, Masters of the Air, was trying to convey. But they were focusing on the personalities of individuals in our group. Now, at the end of the series, Tom Hanks did an epilogue entitled The Bloody Hundredth, which was the 10th hour of the series. And in that, he took excerpts from the interviews like my own of those of us who were actually there and experienced what they were trying to convey. And that literally told the story of what the Bloody Hundredth did and accomplished in the 2-year span that it was in combat. Better than the 9 episodes. So I don't want to be critical of what they did because they had reasons for it. But I had certainly during the course of interviews that I had with writers and filmmakers during the course of the production, made them aware of these things that happened to the group that did not happen to any other group, such as replacing all the co-pilots. And that was never even mentioned there, even though it was a glorious opportunity to document it. It should have been documented. So I did it in the book that I wrote called Damn Lucky. And I didn't mean to be profane in selecting that title, but I just meant that I was incredibly fortunate under all of those adverse circumstances to be a survivor. I'm no hero, I'm a survivor. And if you live through what we did, you are just a survivor. So I spend my time currently lecturing to school children and younger generations, other groups that weren't even born then, such as yours, as to what our generation did and why we did it and how we did it, or none of us would be here.